Next up, it's Giuseppe Reibaldi, who is the president of Moon Village Association. Hello there, Giuseppe.
Hello, good afternoon to you.
And to you.
Good afternoon to everyone. And so I would like, first of all, to thank you for the opportunity to address these extremely timely meetings. So if I can have my first chart, and I will try to then, okay. So basically, what I will try to do in this presentation is to give, let's say, a wider or slightly different perspective about space resources and data sharing in the frame of a complete future lunar governance. And I will do that hopefully by using most of the activity, many activities the Moon Village Association has been carried out recently. Just a word about the Moon Village Association is an NGO registered in Vienna. The main goal is to act as a platform to bring together multi-stakeholder, and we will see in practice what does it mean. And so basically what I'm going to show you for with the first chart is if it moves. I'm trying to move okay, sorry, it was too fast. Here it is. So what I'm going to show you is, for the first time, I'd like to, let's say, share with you what is the vision, a very concrete vision of what the Moon Village in 2045 is going to look like. We are talking about space resources, which is, of course, a major element, an incremental element for the exploration and settlement of the Moon. I'd like to show you what is behind and beyond just the space resources. And so this image, which has been just, this is the first meeting, actually, which we are showing publicly, is a very realistic vision of a future Moon Village, which is built around the South Pole. In particularly, on the upper right is the Shackleton crater, on the upper left is the Mount Malibert. The reason why I'm showing this is because the Moon Village and a settlement will be composed of several elements. So it will be composed of an habitation module, which you can see probably is on the rim of the craters. And then there will be fuel depot. Then you can see later on, further up, there are solar array, farm. Then there is a greenhouse on the bottom of the crater. And then in the far, at least 2 or 3 kilometers, there will be landing pad. And then obviously there's going to be what we are talking today, which is ice mining. Ice mining, which is going to be at least 13 to 14 kilometers. So the main reason of showing this to you is that to indicate that when we will get to this kind of operation, we will have a lot more beside ice mining. And so that is the reason I'm going to show to you basically what is the actual statement of the problem, which has to do with basically the fact that, as has been previously discussed by many other speakers, right now we have many lunar missions from many countries, private and public, that are going to go in a very close proximity, in particular to the South Pole, as I just showed to you, as well as in an orbit. So I think right now there is not a clear coordination mechanism, and this, as some of our colleagues explained, could lead to harmful interference. So there is an urgent need to create confidence building and foster peaceful cooperation. By the way, the picture that you see over here is another possible vision of another Moon Village, but this time just to show you that this is basically on the playing scale. In the reality, it's going to be much more complex. So what the solution that the MVA is foreseen is that you have been introduced earlier about the Hague International Governance Working Group, which I had the pleasure to be basically the co-founder. Well, we have applied the same approach of a multi-stakeholder by setting up what is called a Global Expert Group on Sustainable Lunar Activity, GEXLA, which is composed of space agency, government, industry, academia, civil society, and public. I would say we have, let's say, factor in a lot of the lesson learned of the Hague Working Group. And of course, we're trying to make it even more comprehensive, as I will tell you in a moment. So what is supposed to do this group? Well, this group is actually supposed to recommend a framework and key element for a peaceful and sustainable lunar activity, which is basically what it can be said in brief is the lunar governance. So this will include the principle as well as key element. Obviously, since we are today talking about space resources and data sharing, these are fundamental elements of this recommended framework. But in the frame of the lunar governance, of course, there is much more. And there is also a need in order to really increase the level of cooperation that we also need to issue guidelines for the implementation of these key elements like interoperability, debris mitigation, all things which have been mentioned, but for the first time, we are bringing together in a virtual, let's say, table, all these different stakeholders. And so I'm sharing now with you the actual status of this group. So this group, it is started on the 25th of February. It is operating all on a virtual way for obvious reason, and we will be completing the activity by the end of 2022. Now, what is very important to understand that this is really global, this group. I would say larger and wider than we had in the Hague Space Resources Working Group. We have at the moment 38 members, 12 space agency and government, 10 from industry, 10 from academia, 6 from civil society. At this panel, there is about 50% of the participants which are already involved in the GEXLA, which obviously give us a good indication. We have also 180 observers, and the number of countries which is represented at this point in time is about 50. However, we have still the possibility to add governments as well as more observers as well as a sponsor. So the goal of this group is to prepare material for the COPUOS via the Moon Village Association, because the Moon Village Association as an NGO is an observer to the COPUOS. And so we will have a draft by the end of 2021, and by the end of 2022, we'll have the final, which will be this recommended framework and key elements for the peaceful and sustainable lunar activities. We definitely do not wish to have any interference with the Space Resources Working Group, which is dealt in the frame of the legal subcommittee, which is a very important activity. We hope get started next month. We are simply proposing the creation of an agenda item to discuss the lunar governance at large at 65th COPUOS in 2022, with the goal to actually provide, let's say, the result of the GESLA and get started this activity. Just take the opportunity to mention that, as you know, the Science and Technical Subcommittee has just started yesterday, and the MVA has already proposed a conference room paper which will explain. So to conclude, it's important, therefore, to move forward in the frame of the space resources framework, as well as in general, to move forward on the general part of the lunar governance, because many of the activity are included, even if as an important part. And with that, I will close my presentation. Thank you.